How you going, guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is Jet Simmer here, and welcome back to the F-100D, the lovely super saver that we have here. And today we're going to be doing the taxi, but I wanted to show you real quick as well from the last video the startup from the cartridge. It's a lot faster. So basically we're sitting here with the power ready to go. So all we need to do is, I've already gone ahead and done it, but you just come down here to F6, start a cartridge installed, and off you go. Once the starter cartridge is installed, we just press the battery button on, okay, hit the start button, and it's not firing. So maybe it's not installed. Maybe it was installed in the other aircraft. Let's just go and do that, shall we? Hang on a sec. So we'll turn that off. We'll go to ground crew, and we'll get the starter cartridge installed.
Install the starter cartridge. Copy.
That was the other aircraft I put it in, not this one. So we're going to go ahead and install the starter cartridge. Once it's installed, we're going to tune the battery on, which it is on.
Starter cartridge installed.
Alright, starter cartridge is installed. So we'll go ahead, battery's on, ground power's on, ready to go. So we're going to hit this, and exactly 2 seconds after, we're going to go ahead and go bang, throttle in at 2 to 4%. And let that rise. We're going to hold the starter in until the 40 mark. We've got our fuel flow going up. We've got our temperature rising, our exhaust temp rising, and we are surpassing our 20 RPM right there, which is really good. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and flick on the oxygen, 100% on the oxygen. We're going to go ahead and do the IFF on a standby, turn the compass back on, close those down, IFF back, not IFF, bloody TAC can on and TAC can to 7. Going to turn lights on, make sure the defog is turned on. PSI is 2.75 from the last video we did, and radios are all on. Radios are set to preset for me on 1. We can set them to 2 because that is the airfield that I have selected. Make sure that is off. We're all good to go. Now, we create a lot of smoke doing that, but oh well, that's what it is. Anyways, we're all started up again, as you can see, waiting for the AC gen to turn off. We can go ahead and turn off the standby, shut that down. So waiting for the AC generator to turn off, and that's going to take around 60 seconds after the aircraft started, or I can throttle up to 70% and kick that off straight away. But we're going to just let that settle. We're going to do a few more checks. So starting with the hydraulic pressure, and on systems 1 or sys 1 there, or just sys, we're going to bring the stick back nice and slowly, watching that hydraulic pressure. Then we're going to let it go real quick, make sure it builds. We're going to check to the right, let it go real quick, and it's good to go. We're going to check the other assist now. We're going to go forward, let it go. We're going to go left, and let it go. And next one, we're going to check the rudder. There shouldn't be much hydraulic there, but there's no movement. That's good. It's off. And turn it on. Now the aircraft moves. You can see that there in the bottom of the cockpit. And we're going to check the rudder pressure. We're not using too much, which is great. We're not causing too much. Over here, alternate rudder. We're going to open that up, hold the normal button in, and we're going to make sure it pressurizes. Okay. And then we're going to go rudder and rudder. Let it all out, and then we'll just turn it off. And then just keep hitting the rudder until all the pressure goes back, and make sure it comes back up. Then we're going to select it back onto utility. And you want to make sure it stays on utility for takeoff, just so you can monitor. Because if you lose utility, you're going to lose your ailerons, your rudder, and your elevators from the utility. So you want to make sure that utility, and if you start losing pressure in your utility, you know you're going to have problems with your flight controls. Apart from that, we're ready to taxi, so we can go ahead and chuck the IFF into normal there. Go landing lights on, Look out the cockpit, make sure there's no one around. They've already done their brakes. Let's go ahead and tell the ground crew to get rid of that ground power.
Chief, turn off the ground
If
power.
you have the air power installed as well, tell them to get rid of the air, and we are pretty much good to go.
Ground power is now off.
Alright, you can taxi with or without the canopy. So I got the canopy down, no problem there. Make sure that we still have control on of the wheels, and we're going to head out. So this is going to take quite a bit of power to get the aircraft going. So around about 70% of power on your H.O.T.A.S. So you're going to push out. Once you get going, you're going to go for just about a meter. Once you go there, brakes on, make sure that you've got brakes. It shouldn't take off again until you bump in a little bit more power. Brakes on, good to go. Turn off that lovely nose wheel steering and try and turn left and right. Obviously you can't turn left and right, it's turned off, but you can taxi with the brakes. Getting that speed up, using the brakes, dynamic braking to turn the aircraft. If you don't want to do that, center your rudder and slow the aircraft down, then your rudder, and then make sure that your nose wheel steering is good to go again. Nose wheel steering is good to go, and the throttle back up. And you want to taxi nice and slowly, otherwise you'll start skidding the nose wheel and you will lose all turning functions of the nose wheel. Take some time. You can pretty much set your throttle at about, I don't know, I set it around 70%, and you can basically taxi around on 70%. So we'll just go down these taxiways, do zigzags, and get used to the aircraft and just taxiing. So you can just go up and down these yellow lines all day, every day, taxiing around, taxiing out to the airfield, taxiing all over the place. Just getting used to different things. Even if you have to, go ahead and lift up your seat. That is the wrong key button. Lift up your seat and you can see a little bit more when taxiing around. Alright, there's nothing to it. Make sure you get your lights on and just taxi around and try and just get used to the area. Stay away from any buildings, any other aircraft that you may have spawned in or that are going to spawn in time if you know them, and just, yeah, keep an eye on certain things. Alright, without further ado guys, we'll go out to the runway and pretty much hold short. So we'll taxi out to the runway and show you how our sim professionalism works. I absolutely love this aircraft. There is just so many hidden features in this aircraft ready to go. So as you're coming out to the runway, we want to do a few things. We want to make sure that our ejection seat is properly armed and the flight pins are removed. They are in this bag here that you can place them back later. We want to check that our pitot heat is on. Our defog handles are about a centimetre or so forward. We're going to check to make sure our cold and hot control, our cockpit climate control, is in the warm position. It is 41 degrees out, so we probably want cold, but you want to have the cockpit a little warm just in case you hit a cold patch and your cockpit fogs right up and you can't see. Okay? You want to make sure that your cockpit pressure is set for 2.75, and over here you want to make sure your anti-skid is on, and doing it again and again and again, you want to make sure that you have your aircraft trim for takeoff. When you first do this, it may take a couple of seconds for the green light to pop on, but every time you click it, it should be ready to go every single time. You want to also make sure you have your flaps on intermediate before takeoff. You will want flaps every single time you take off on this aircraft. It may not feel like it, especially when you don't have any armaments on board, but you definitely want to have flaps on takeoff. Now this part here is completely up to you, and I find necessary for myself, pitch and yaw dampener, leave off on takeoff. You can have it on takeoff, but I prefer to have it off. if you have the yaw dampener on, you just don't have the control that you have with it off. If it's on, it for some reason just overrides a lot of your input, especially your trim, and you just cannot do things that you want the aircraft to do straight away because the yaw dampener is inhibiting them. So for takeoff, up to you, turn that on or off. It is really up to you. Now with Nellis, we never take off into the wind on this runway. It's always take off away from the town because we do have missiles on board, so away from the city. So we take off away and we always land. The only time we ever land from that direction is if we have no weapons on board or inert weapons on. However, we do have the AIM-9 Sidewinders on, and they are armed. They're not the training ones, so we have to take off in that direction. So the wind is behind us. So just making a note that there's no clouds, no aircraft out there, and we are pretty much good to go with the wind. So anyways, guys, thank you for that, and we'll see you in the next one, ready for lineup and takeoff and a small little fly away from the airfield. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in that one.